Jeremiah's cabin sat at the edge of the frontier wastes, where civilized space ended and the scars of the Great Purge began. For 7 years, he'd lived alone among the twisted metal forests and radiation-scorched plains, content with solitude and the ghosts of battles he'd rather forget. The war had taken everything from him: his squad, his purpose, his belief that the galaxy could be anything other than cruel. The auction house on Station Krios was the last place he expected to find himself that cold morning. He'd only come for supplies, but curiosity drew him toward the crowd gathering in the lower decks, where the less reputable traders conducted their business. Lot 47. The auctioneer's voice crackled through ancient speakers. The last of her kind. A genuine Draconis female. Starting bid, 10,000 credits. Jeremiah pushed through the crowd and froze. In a containment field stood a woman unlike anything he'd seen in his 38 years. She was humanoid, but clearly something more. Scales shimmered across her shoulders and down her arms in patterns of deep crimson and gold. Her eyes were vertical slits of molten amber, and despite the inhibitor collar around her neck and the chains binding her wrists, she held herself with a pride that made the slavers look like insects by comparison. She was starving. He could see it in the hollow of her cheeks, the way her bones pressed against scaled skin. Her wings, magnificent even in their folded, broken state, hung limp behind her, the Draconis. He knew the stories. Everyone did. They'd sided with the wrong faction during the Purge, and the Coalition had hunted them to extinction. Apparently, not quite extinction. 15,000, someone shouted. 20, called another voice. Hungry with greed, Jeremiah's hand moved before his brain caught up. 50,000 credits. The auction hall fell silent. 50,000 was everything he had saved from his military pension, every credit he'd hoarded for 7 years of hermit living. The auctioneer's eyes gleamed. Sold. To the human in the back. She didn't speak during the transport back to his cabin. Jeremiah had removed the inhibitor collar the moment they left the station. He'd seen enough slavery during the war to last a lifetime. But she remained silent, watching him with those burning amber eyes. "You have a name?" he asked as his transport skimmed over the wastes. "Stella." Her voice was rough from disuse, but beneath it lay something ancient and powerful. "Why did you purchase me, human?" "Honestly, I'm not entirely sure." Jeremiah kept his eyes on the controls. "Seemed like the right thing to do." "The right thing," she repeated, tasting the words like they were foreign. "Your kind killed mine. Every last one," they said. "Apparently, they missed me. I'm not my kind. Not anymore." She studied him for a long moment. "You're a soldier. I can smell the war on you." "Was a soldier. Now I'm just a man who lives alone and wants to be left alone." "Then you've made a poor decision today." The first weeks were tense. Stella kept to herself, healing in the cabin's spare room. Jeremiah left food outside her door and tried to pretend his quiet existence hadn't been completely upended. But slowly, inevitably, their orbits began to overlap. He found her one evening on the cabin's roof, watching the twin moons rise over the wastes. Her wings were spread wide, catching the silver light, and for the first time he saw them undamaged, magnificent spans of scaled membrane that shimmered with iridescent color. "They're beautiful," he said before he could stop himself. "They're useless." She didn't look at him. A Draconis without flight is like a human without hope. The damage can't be repaired. The damage was intentional. They didn't want their product to escape. Rage flickered through Jeremiah's chest, the same rage that had driven him from military service. "I know a doctor. Cybernetic specialist. She owes me a favor." Stella turned to him then, really looked at him. "Why?" "You purchased me to ease your conscience, human. You don't owe me anything more. My name is Jeremiah, and maybe I'm tired of owing the universe a debt I can never repay." Dr. Yush arrived 3 days later, her shuttle loaded with equipment that would have cost more than Jeremiah's cabin. She took one look at Stella's wings and whistled low. "This is going to take weeks, maybe months." "I have time," Stella said. Jeremiah found himself smiling. "We both do." The surgery was brutal. Jeremiah stayed with Stella through every procedure, holding her hand when the pain became too much, talking her through the worst moments with stories of his own rehabilitation after the war. She told him about her people in return, their cities that floated on thermal currents, their libraries carved into mountain hearts, their songs that could shake the foundations of worlds. all gone now. All except her. Why did you really buy me? She asked one night, fever bright from the neural integration procedures. Jeremiah was quiet for a long time. 7 years ago, my squad and I were ordered to clear a Draconis settlement. We were told they were military targets. They weren't. He swallowed hard. I've spent every day since trying to figure out how to live with what I did. When I saw you in that auction house, I don't know. Maybe I thought I could save one. Just one. Stella's hand found his in the darkness. You can't save your way to redemption, Jeremiah. I know, but maybe I can start by doing better. 3 months later, Stella stood on the roof of the cabin, her wings fully extended. The cybernetic integrations glowed softly along the membrane edges, stronger than the original tissue. Dr. Yush had outdone herself. Jeremiah watched from below as Stella crouched, her powerful legs coiling. Then she leaped. For a heart-stopping moment, she fell. Then her wings caught the wind, and she soared into the sky with a cry of pure joy that echoed across the wastes. She climbed higher and higher, a crimson and gold star against the pale morning sky. He thought she might leave, fly away to whatever future awaited the last of the Draconis. He wouldn't have blamed her, but she circled back, landing beside him with a grace that took his breath away. Well? He asked. Stella looked at him, and for the first time since he'd met her, she smiled. I think, she said slowly, that being the last of my kind doesn't mean I have to be alone. Jeremiah smiled back. Neither does being a veteran who lives in the wastes. Above them, the twin moons were fading into dawn, and the galaxy seemed just a little less cruel than it had the day before.